the city of Los Angeles and its millions of people living, loving, planning, fighting until nature's most violent upheaval forces them to battle and claw for life itself.
Nerdrotic.com.
Hollywood had a bad day last week, folks. Now, you can consider this a sequel or an epilogue to my last video. Hollywood is in full panic mode for some very good reasons. They just lost one of their biggest streams of revenue, the film, which was essentially canceled for 2020. It was canceled on September 23rd. And it was canceled by one company. Before we get started, briefly, if you like what I do here, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking and sharing the videos. It really does help independent content creators. If you could do that with your favorite YouTuber as well, I'm sure they would appreciate it as much as I do. Now on to the Hollywood Schadenfreude. Why Disney's delay of Black Widow means doomsday for Hollywood. And it's not just Black Widow that was delayed. It was the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yes, we have streaming shows like WandaVision and The Falcon and The Winter Soldier, but that's not going to bring in the $1 billion needed to keep these franchises going. And if you factor in the coof and how celebrities have been acting on Twitter over the last 6 or 7 months, they have a huge problem. And again, I'm not too sure that many people actually care. I don't think there's a lot of sympathy towards Disney right now. And another problem is putting all of your eggs into the MCU basket. That's pretty much all theaters had going for them. So if you have no theaters to release your big blockbuster movies, how are you going to earn those billions of dollars to go give to political organizations that are detrimental to your business model? I think these are good questions. Hollywood's hopes of a comeback this year are officially dead. Disney put the last nail in the coffin on Wednesday when it delayed several of its much-anticipated fall flicks, including Black Widow, starring Scarlett Johansson, and Steven Spielberg's West Side Story, the movie that no one asked for. While not surprising due to the still raging coof, this has experts calling it a wrap on the 2020 movie-going season. And you will see the other films that are still scheduled follow suit very soon, because as Disney goes, Hollywood goes, and this is why we don't want these giant conglomerate corporations controlling all of our information. Black Widow, about a KGB operative set for November 6th, will now hit theaters in May 2021. We'll see about that, Disney said. West Side Story, a movie that nobody wants, version of the classic Broadway musical has been delayed a full year to December 2021. I think that'll end up on a streaming service as well. The two films were among the biggest flicks left on Hollywood's schedule this year, and there were lingering hopes that they might encourage people to return to the theaters in spite of the coof. Well, first off, hope is not a strategy. And when it comes to Disney specifically, I'm wondering what lingering hopes they had of people returning to a theater when, again, one of the authoritative sources you own has been peddling fear porn for the last 6 or 7 months. And that's not even debatable at this point. But analysis say Disney had little choice but to pull them after seeing the results of recent experiments in the form of Warner Brothers' spy thriller Tenet and Disney's own Mulan. Wait a minute. I thought Mulan was this big success on Disney Plus. I think Yahoo came out with some ridiculous estimates based on an average that they pulled out of their ass. And my boy Odin did a great video on this subject, which I will link in the description. If Mulan was such a hit, why wouldn't Black Widow follow right after it? And that's a point he brought up, by the way. I don't want to take credit for it, but it was a good one. Tenet, starring Robert Pattinson, reeled in a tepid $36 million in domestic box office sales since hitting screens on September 3rd, which MKM Partners analyst Eric Handler says proves that big releases can't make it without theaters in major cities like New York and Los Angeles, which remain closed. You would think with Hollywood collectively losing billions of dollars, they would rethink a lot of things, how they act on social media, and hiring firms to tell them the obvious. Analyst Eric Handler continues, Tenet's U.S. results definitely showed us that middle America cannot carry a tentpole film. You need the coasts, he said, adding that until that happens, studios will delay the release of their best movies. Well, that's going to be a problem for Hollywood, considering that people are leaving New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, California in droves. Disney bypassed the U.S. theaters entirely with its live-action remake of Mulan. By releasing the flick exclusively to its streaming service Disney+, it then told customers who are already shelling out $6.99 a month for Disney Plus that they needed to fork over an additional $30 to see the film, which cost $200 million to make. A same film that if they wait a few months, they can watch without paying that $30. Although Disney has not released official results, and they never will, third-party data from Samba TV suggests that about 1.1 million households downloaded the flick on its opening weekend on September 4th. I don't know how Samba TV works. I don't know if it works like Parrot Analytics, which is based on hashtags, but there's no way of knowing how many people downloaded the film and watched it in its entirety. I believe that's complete BS. But even if that number is correct, apparently that's not good news. That translates to about 33.5 million in sales. A figure, if accurate, is a disaster, according to Lightshed Partners analyst Rich Greenfield. There's a lot of analysts in this report. Now, Yahoo Finance reported differently. According to their analytics firm, 7 Park Data, nearly 29% of U.S. Disney Plus users that access the app between September 1st to September 12th purchased the $30 Mulan film. Under that top scenario, net profits would pile up to $261 million for U.S. markets alone. There seems to be a bit of a discrepancy. I'm guessing if Mulan made $261 million in 12 days, you bet your ass Black Widow would have been on Disney Plus. Mulan did not work. It is not a viable alternative to Disney's theatrical strategy, he said. It works for smaller movies. He cited Trolls World Tour, Universal Pictures' animated movie that bypassed theaters and headed straight to video on demand for $19.99 in April. That film garnered $100 million in rentals, according to Universal, and appeared to be a viable strategy to combat the doldrums of the COOF. Well, that was back in April. We are now in, obviously, late September. People have gotten out of the habit. Again, they have found other things to do, and a lot of things have transpired since April, adding to the list of Hollywood's problems that go well beyond the COOF, which will go away someday. Unfortunately for some Hollywood celebrities, the internet is forever, and Hollywood hypocrisy has been at an all-time high. And this goes well beyond a Hollywood celebrity throwing some cringe support behind a presidential candidate while not knowing his audience, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The best example is Patton Oswalt, who 1 month was shaming people who are protesting for the right to go back to work, and then the next month he's throwing support to Antifa by comparing them to the soldiers who invaded the beaches of Normandy on D-Day. Then there was multiple celebrities during the rioting and looting calling to defund the police, which I'm sure you all remember, including the man who's worth $200 million, Armie Hammer, grandson of an oil tycoon, and Susan Sarandon, who I'm sure can afford her own private security, and the MCU's own Natalie Portman, whose hypocrisy was on display earlier this year when she was calling out Hollywood for not hiring female directors, while not hiring female directors at her own production company. You can't make this stuff up, and I know the hypocrisy will give you whiplash. And remember, these are the same celebrities that benefit from police escorts, police shutting down streets so they can pretend on location. They shut down streets for award shows and premieres and jack up traffic in our neighborhoods. They also provide security for those same award shows and premieres and on the set. And guess who's paying for it? You and I. So yes, they can pay for their own private security. Here's the problem though. Private security firms tend to hire ex-cops. Also, these are the same celebrities who rooted on the rioting and the looting and were financially supporting it, including Steve Carell, Janelle Monáe, Seth Rogen, Ben Schwartz, and others. I don't have enough time to go over even half of the Hollywood hypocrisy I have witnessed in the last couple of weeks, so let's end it with the news from the last 24 to 48 hours. The big news on Twitter, anyway, has been the president's income tax. And the celebrities, of course, have been whinging about that. Personally, I think taxation is theft. That being said, I'm trying to make a point. I would like to remind Hollywood that they benefited from almost $1 billion in tax credits last year from just the state of California. In total, $815 million in tax credits have been provided. And I can hear the collective retort from the idiots in Hollywood right now, the same idiots who are criticizing a person for using his tax write-offs. That $815 million benefited the state to the tune of $6 billion, up from $3.7 billion in the previous 2 fiscal years. And I would agree with you completely. Now, I don't expect the average adult pretender to pick up what I was putting down right there, but I know you are, because you are a smart and beautiful audience. Now, Hollywood is going to need all the tax credit they can get, because it's going to be a long time until we see another billion-dollar film again, if ever. And we can't go without hearing from another analyst. Comscore media analyst Paul, oh my lord, Dergarabedian pointed to Mulan's hefty price tag and the fact that Disney said the movie will be free to watch on Disney Plus in December as central to its paltry showing. I'm sure it had nothing to do with those camps that you have to concentrate in that aren't very fun and its relation to Winnie the Pooh. Consumers are price sensitive right now. $30 on top of your subscription? That's pricey to some. I hate the word consumers. You mean customers? Yeah, we're sensitive to a lot of things, especially Disney's relationship with a government that puts people in camps you have to concentrate in. Before turning to the clouds still hanging over the once vibrant industry. Well, it's good that somebody brings up that we were experiencing the best economy in our lifetimes, that Disney and a lot of Hollywood was benefiting from that. And because they were benefiting from that, they were able to take some chances, take some risks, like, attacking customers. And now they're going to pay the price for it. It's a profoundly different marketplace than it was 6 or 7 months ago, he said. We don't know the long-term implications, but studios and movie theaters are facing a reckoning. And it's directly related to the coof for now. The reckoning will continue after that based on the events of the last 6 or 7 months. The theaters are an innocent party in this. The movie studios are not. So please continue acting the fool, Hollywood, sitting and complaining about tyranny while rooting on tyranny, while being silent about the real tyranny going on in another country that your town is very, very closely related to. Hollywood hypocrisy will be the best form of entertainment over the next 6 months, and I'm guessing we're going to get a healthy dose of it. Until then, I hope Hollywood re-examines their behavior, re-examines their relationship with the paying customer. But we know that's not going to happen. Until then, have a great day. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like what you heard, and I will see you in the next video.
Nerdrotic.com. Please subscribe.